Hi, welcome back to the channel. My name's Rebecca, I'm 45 years old and I used to suffer from multiple sclerosis, but I no longer experience any of the symptoms since starting the carnivore diet just over 2 years ago. In today's video, I wanted to talk to you guys about eggs because over the past year, I have been having some issues with eggs, and this has been an unwelcome development, partly because I love eggs and previously I was consuming a minimum of 4 a day, but also because I actually keep chickens, so I have a steady supply of eggs, and at the moment they're all just going to waste, and I'm just I'm desperately foisting them on people and giving them to the dogs and just wondering what I'm going to do. Anyway, so I'm going to give you a brief overview about the nutritional benefits of eggs, but to be honest, I probably don't need to. I think most carnivores already realize that they are a nutrient powerhouse. They're absolutely amazing. Also very versatile in terms of cooking and very light on the stomach. So there's lots of benefits of eggs, and they provide variety in the diet. But yeah, they are a source of very high quality protein, which is very bioavailable, but also they're rich in healthy fats, which we need to feel satiated and for proper brain function and for hormone production and regulation. The egg yolks are packed with lots of vitamins and minerals. They have the B vitamins, they have vitamin A, vitamin E, I believe, although I don't know much about vitamin E, but what interests me is that they have vitamin D. Now, as somebody diagnosed with MS, I have long had a vitamin D deficiency. I think it's very common whether you have MS or not, and especially if you live in northern latitudes, especially during the winter. So I'm very mindful of my vitamin D consumption. And the great thing about eggs is they also contain vitamin K2, which you need in combination with vitamin D to be able to get the benefit of it. It's to do with transporting calcium, and you need the vitamin K for it to work. So they also have, though, minerals. They contain selenium and they contain zinc and iron. So egg yolks are just really nutrient dense and really tasty as well. So what happened? What went wrong? Why did eggs suddenly become an issue for me? Well, I had an eczema outbreak back in earlier in the year, and a few people commented that it could be from the egg whites that this was happening, that I could be having a histamine reaction to the egg whites. Now, I have long had eczema. I've had eczema since I was a teenager, and really bad eczema, it covers my entire torso, my entire upper body, and my belly and my arms, and it can get out of control, and it's actually an autoimmune condition, and it's something that you have to work to prevent. But once it happens, it can be very, very difficult to get it back under control. And what I used to do is resort to steroid cream, which I hate to do. And this eczema outbreak that I had, it felt very random. I couldn't work out why it was happening. And I did actually go to the GP and get the steroid cream, which I hate, and try to get it back under control. And then I received a few comments on my YouTube channel suggesting it could be from the egg whites. So I blocked this information in my brain because I was like, that can't be true. That can't be what it is. I can't give up eggs. But one day I was like, well, maybe I should see if it is. So I stopped eating eggs, and lo and behold, within 2 days, the eczema had completely vanished. So since then, I've just not been eating eggs. And actually I went OMAD, 1 meal a day, for a while because I also had a foot injury at this time and I wasn't really exercising, so I didn't really need 2 meals a day like I had used to have. The whole first year of the diet, I would have eggs and bacon in the morning and then red meat in the afternoon. So I went down to 1 meal a day, and so I just kind of shelved the issue. But now that my foot is healed and I'm back to being very active, I am working up an appetite, and I really miss having eggs. And I also have way too many of them. They're just, I am down to only 5 chickens now. Initially I had 10, now I'm down to 5, very sadly. I don't actually know what happened to the latest 2 that disappeared. They just didn't come back to the coop one evening. So either a fox will have got them or a bird of prey. I don't know what. Anyway, so yeah, I'm down to 5 chickens, but I do have a rooster, a cockerel, so that's a new addition to the family. So those eggs are getting fertilized. So I was like, well, okay, well, if I'm not eating eggs, maybe I can raise chickens. So, okay, so I experimented with that. I left the eggs in the coop and I waited to see if my chickens would sit on them, and they didn't. So I've got like 40 eggs, about 40 eggs piled up, and no one was sitting on them. And then I learnt that the chickens that I own are of a particular breed, they're genetically engineered to only lay eggs and not to get broody and sit on the eggs. So it's very rare that my type of chicken would sit on the eggs, and that's exactly what's happened. They don't show any interest at all. What I'm planning to do is getting a couple of chickens of a different breed so that I might be able to actually raise chickens for meat. So that's one thing I can do with the eggs, produce new chickens. But with the histamine thing, with the egg white, like I'm pretty convinced now that it was the egg whites that's caused it. I've tried eating them since to see if the eczema would come back, and I did get itchy skin a little bit, and I did think, oh, you know, this is what's happening. So there's a couple of things that I've been thinking about. So one thing is I've just been eating the yolks. I have got this little contraption which scoops out the yolk. So I just crack 4 eggs into a bowl and scoop the yolk out, and then have that with my bacon, which is nice. It's like having a sauce on the bacon. I do miss the whites, you know, the texture, and just it's just a little bit more filling when you have 4 whole eggs, but better to have the yolk than nothing. I mean, the yolk's the best bit essentially, so that's good. So that's what I've been doing recently. Also, I'm thinking of changing the feed of the chickens, because this is what I've learned, that actually the nutrient content of the egg is affected by what the chicken eats, which makes sense. So what I give my chickens, and I've been doing this ever since I've been raising them without giving it any thought, I've been feeding them processed grain, corn, and it's actually a special mix which is for egg-laying chickens. So it's the idea is that it will produce the best eggs, the richest eggs. It's called pienso de ponedora in Spanish, and I think they're called layers pellets in English. So that's what I've been giving them, and I have been led to believe that this is contributing to the histamine reaction that I'm getting to the eggs. I mean, it makes sense, doesn't it? What they eat transfers into the eggs. And my chickens are free range. They're free range all through the day. But yeah, they're absolutely addicted to this processed corn that I buy for them. If I want them to come back to the coop, all I need to do is shake the feeder and they come running. I keep the door shut throughout the day so they don't have access, and then in the evening, just so that they'll definitely come back, I shake the feeder and they come racing. And if you've never seen a chicken running, you're missing out. They're hilarious. Anyway, so yeah, so I'm thinking, well, what can I do about this? Because I want my eggs to be, I want to eat eggs. They're really cool. Like they're really fundamental part of the diet for me as a carnivore, but I don't want this histamine reaction, and I don't want to be giving them processed crap either if I don't need to be. So I'm thinking of changing their feed, and I have been thinking of doing this for a while, but I've not got round to it. Somebody told me that you can just mix your own feed of, you know, just oats and whatever it might be, to just sort of control what you give them. I guess I'd have to investigate that a little bit more. I've considered not giving them any grain and seeing how they do, but I've looked into what I could give my chickens that is non-grain based. There's quite a lot of stuff that you can actually give them. Crushed sunflower seeds is something. Sprouted peas and lentils, so sprouted legumes, could be something. Lots of people give their chickens vegetable scraps, but I don't generate vegetable scraps. But there's also insects. You can give them insect protein. So chickens will actually eat anything. Some people give chickens fish. Some people give chickens chicken. I'm not too convinced I want to do that, but I'm very happy with the idea of giving them insect protein. And there's one in particular, black soldier fly larvae, you can give them. So you can actually create like a black soldier fly farm, and that's a really tasty, you know, really good protein based diet that you can provide for your chickens. So that's probably what I'm most interested in. There's mealworms and crickets as well, so there's other types of insects which you can give your chickens. Now, it does feel like quite an undertaking, but I also just really miss having eggs, and I was very disappointed to discover that having eggs was causing my eczema, so I think it's worth it. And it is just better not to give them. Who knows what crap's gone into the commercial feed that I'm giving them? It could just be full of pesticides and God knows what. So I'm thinking that that's a good idea. Also, I have accidentally acquired 4 geese over the past year. Now that was not my intention, but it's what's happened. And I have read that actually duck and goose eggs, they don't have quite the same composition and they don't have quite the same histamine reaction in some people. So that's something to experiment with. I haven't actually had a goose egg yet. They haven't laid. And apparently geese don't lay very frequently. So it might be like one every couple of months, and that hasn't happened yet. So I'm yet to see if that's a viable option. But I'm sure they'll be really cool. If I do have a goose egg, that would be really cool. And like I say, I think the best thing about eggs is that they grow new chickens. So I'm looking forward to adding some different chicken breeds into my flock to see that start happening, and to diversifying their food and thinking about their food and being more mindful about how I raise them and what I give them. And I just think it's really interesting because often, you know, if you don't keep chickens, you might not ever realize this. You know, lots of carnivores will be buying eggs in the supermarket, and hopefully you're all buying free range chickens, pasture raised chickens, not the cheaper eggs, which are chickens kept in horrible conditions. But there's also the fact of, are they being given grain as well as being free range, which I would never have thought of as an issue, and it's been an issue, and now I'm working out how I can work around that issue and go back to lots of eggs in my diet. So yeah, I just thought I would raise the topic and see what information you guys could provide in the comments about raising chickens and getting the best out of their eggs. So yeah, please do share your knowledge and your experience of eggs in the comments below, and take care, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.